Great Ogoni people, greetings to everyone. It's been a little while I made a video, and some persons have asked me what has happened, you don't make videos. It's just that I've been a little bit busy, so that's why I couldn't make video in these few weeks. However, the video I wanted to make before maybe those engagements is what I want to make today. Today's topic is the 3 forms of violence and how it operates in Nigeria. Mostly we are broadly familiar with one type of violence, which is the one with force, the use of force to achieve something or to destroy something. And violence in its broad perspective is like the use of power to destroy, either to kill or to stop something from achieving its potential. That is violence. But in that violence, there are 3 different forms of violence, and it is operational in the society. So I am making this, narrowing it to Nigeria, as a case study. So we have 3 forms of violence. One, we have what we call cultural violence. Then the second one, we have what we call structural violence. And the third one, we have what we call direct violence. Now, I will explain it bit by bit from the grassroots so that you can understand it perfectly. And I would like to use maybe a bird as an illustration to what I'm about to say. Now, let me start with cultural violence. Cultural violence is the use of culture, belief, some set of values, to perpetrate violence against people, like instigating, believing that your own culture, your own value, your own belief is superior to others. Your own race is superior to others. It's like racism is just a typical example of cultural violence. Now, this thing is operating in Nigeria, and many people do not know, because cultural violence lays the foundation for structural violence, and then structural violence also lays that foundation for direct violence. So don't forget these 3 things. The cultural violence lays the foundation, it dresses the bed for structural violence to sleep on. Now, structural violence will also dress the bed for direct violence to sleep on. So that is how it goes. So let me start with cultural violence, as I have explained. You see, in Nigeria, some set of people believe that their own culture is more superior to yours. They believe that their own set of system or their values, their own belief is superior to yours. Thereby, every other thing, every other tribes, every other nations in Nigeria can go to hell. But for them, they are at the top. And for us to note, you see, what we call tribe in Nigeria, in the Western world and other parts of the world, they are nations. They are nations. But in Nigeria, we try to suppress everything. We just call them tribes. So now let me go in how it happened. A typical example of cultural violence is what we call, an example is the Wazobia. Wazobia is an acronym. It's derived from 3 different languages. Wa from Yoruba, Zo from Hausa, and Bia from Igbo. Now, Wazobia, it all means Wa, it all means come. So in Yoruba, Wa is come. In Hausa, Zo is come. In Igbo, Bia is come. It's just the same thing. So these 3 sets of values, or these 3 sets of ethnic group in Nigeria has dominated the country to the point that several other ethnic groups in Nigeria don't have a voice. So initially, news was being cast or broadcasted in different languages. But until when they came together, say no, let's just use just these three people, these three nations in Nigeria, and the rest can go to hell. So that is why when you hear Wazobia, it signifies that it is like only three sets of people live in Nigeria. Only three sets of nations live in Nigeria, or three sets of ethnic groups live in Nigeria. But is this so? No. Nigeria is a home to over 350 ethnic groups and languages. So why should only three be at the top, suppressing the rest? So it means my own, as an Ogoni person, my own culture, my own belief, my own language, everything can go to hell. So when people say, how did we get here? You don't understand. This is how we got to where we are. Oppression is why we've gotten to where we are. Because when you hinder someone from achieving his full human potential, then you are setting the country ablaze. So cultural violence has been in existence for a long time. And let me start as a typical example. You see, we as Ogoni people, we have experienced a lot. In those days, you will hear Ogoni Pio Pio, Ogoni Pio Pio, Ogoni Pio Pio. Now, they were using those terms to mock at us. And we always feel bad when you mention that, when you call us that. We never understood until recent time when we now understood that actually this Ogoni Pio Pio, as some set of people are using it against us, that it was to our own advantage, because someone saw Ogoni people to be pure, to be honest people. So that's why they say Ogoni pure, pure. As for Ogoni, they are pure people, they are honest people. It was a white man that used that word, but other people use it against us, and because we were, should I say, naive, or we didn't understand, they were using it to mock at us, and it was really painful in those days growing up. When you get to Port Harcourt, you'll be hearing people calling you Ogoni Pio Pio, Ogoni Pio Pio, Ogoni Pio Pio. It was something that wasn't palatable at all. Until of recent when we understood that, oh, this thing is our own advantage. So we are proud. If you like, you call me Ogoni Pio Pio or any Ogoni man. We are proud of it because we now understood the true meaning. But in those days, it was a word that was used to mock at Ogoni people. Now, that is, we also had where someone came up and said, monkey no dey wear coat. Monkey does not wear coat. It was a politician. They were campaigning right on Ogoni soil. He told Ogoni people that monkey no dey wear coat, meaning that Ogoni people cannot wear coat. We cannot be in that position. That was the true meaning, because he was contesting for governorship. And he said Ogoni people cannot wear coat, means we cannot be in that position. We can't achieve that. They mocked at us. Now, by the way, I have experienced it personally as a person far away in the north. In my SS2, you know, I was in a science class. So there is one of these, our chemistry teacher. I don't want to mention his name. He will come into the class and then he will be teaching. So it will get to a point he will stop using English and he will use Hausa language completely. So I will raise my hand up and say, sir, please, I don't understand the language. Could you please come back to English so we can all understand? He will tell me, that is my business. Imagine, as young as I was then, I was 16. I was 16 years old. He will always tell me, that is your business. And he will continue to teach the people in the Hausa language, and I will just be in the class without understanding what was going on. Now, some of my friends, some of my Yoruba and Igbo friends that were in the class, they have stayed there for a long period of time, so they understood the language. So I was the only victim in that class because I was just new, so I didn't understand anything in the Hausa language. I don't have any problem with Hausa. I don't hate Hausa language. But this is a school system. This is a class where it is demanded that you are supposed to teach in the language that we know. But you went into teaching in your own language. So any person that don't understand that language can go to hell. So I suffered that tremendously, and honestly, it was on daily basis. Anytime he would come to class, he would teach, and when he gets to a place, he would just stop using English. He would go straight into Hausa language. So I was just in the class because of my love to study science or chemistry. I would sit in the class and I would just be watching, and he would be speaking. And when I said, who told me? He asked me, who told me not to understand Hausa language? That's not his business. It's up to me. But this is the best way you can explain to the people to understand. Okay, I understand from the other aspect that yes, like I have always said, it is time we begin to return to our local language so that we can understand what we want to learn. But the truth is, in that scenario, it was wrong, because it has never been approved. If it was approved that it should be taught, I don't think I would find myself in that class. I won't be there. I would rather be in Ogoni land where I will be taught in my own language. So that was the kind of thing I also experienced. Now, I also have, let me get to structural violence. So those are the things you see in cultural violence. You see, when you think your own culture is more greater than others, and you use that to oppress many people. So watch in Nigeria today. Culture, any person who tells you that culture, belief is not part of the political system, it's not part of whatever thing they are doing, then that person is naive. He doesn't understand Nigerian politics or Nigerian system. So many people or some people believe that they are superior to the rest. That is why today you also have racism, where they can just throw a black man anyhow because they feel he has no value. But it is wrong. We are all human. So that is how cultural violence, that is how it operates in Nigeria. It is, everybody is experiencing this on daily basis. But you can deny those who feel, mostly those who will deny are those that are perpetrating the act anyway. That is the truth. But many people know that this is exactly what is going on in Nigeria. Now let me move on to structural violence. Structural violence is the kind of violence that is operational through systems, laws, institutions. Now, when the cultural violence have grown wings, they now transfer it into a system that it will now be drafted into law. Now, the law you talk about, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, honestly, was drafted by few. All the ethnic nationalities in Nigeria were not represented. It's just few people that sat down and wrote this thing, and then you will hear, we the people of Nigeria. Who told you it is we the people of Nigeria? And it is painful when some people say, yes, according to the Constitution of Nigeria, they'll be boasting and be happy about it. What constitution are you happy? The constitution that is oppressing you, that is killing you on daily basis. So structural violence is when it has been transferred from cultural into structure, into law. It has been signed into law. So like the Constitution now. So they now use Constitution to oppress you. When you call, they said this is the law. Now ask yourself, the law, was it written by you? Now when the law when the Constitution of Nigeria was drafted, was there any Ogoni man? There was no Ogoni man. No Ogoni person was represented there. We were not represented. Why? Because they feel we are not important. But our resources, our natural resources is important. Now, the typical example of the law is when, as it has been drafted into law, you now discover that you have what we call the Land Use Decree and Petroleum Act, where anything that is 6 feet below the ground belongs to the federal government. You can see the level they have moved, and that is a structural violence, because I am not sure any Ogoni man will agree to that what 6 feet below belongs to the federal government doesn't belong to Ogoni person. I don't think any Ogoni man will agree to that. If we were to be there when this constitution and when these things were to be put together. I don't think we will agree to that. So they not transfer the hatred, everything, they transfer it into law. So when you cough, they say this is the law. But they forget that this law, you were not part of this law. They enacted all this law just for them to oppress you. And what is the purpose of all this violence?